Yo, have you ever wanted to be a badass samurai and you also like the old school Japanese movie aesthetic? Well, then that's where Trek to Yomi comes in, and that's exactly what drew my attention to this game to get the Platinum Trophy. Well, that and the fact that it came to the PS Plus subscription for free for all the subscribers in June. I've always meant to play this game, and when I was on Xbox before moving over here to the PlayStation crew, I was gonna play it, just never got around to it. But here we are now, and it's time to get this Platinum Trophy. So it will take me multiple playthroughs in order to get the Platinum. It should have only took me 2, but it is gonna take me 3 for unfortunate circumstances. We'll get back to that later. But for this first playthrough, we're gonna go ahead and start this on Ronin difficulty for a trophy later. We start this out in chapter 1 where we're taught some of the basic fight techniques from our sensei. Now a commotion happens and then the sensei happens to leave, to which we go searching for him and then eventually come across our first enemy. Shortly after that, while sticking to the main path, I reached my first health upgrade. Now I had to get a hang of the fighting mechanics in this game, and in order to do so, I had to learn how to parry and counter properly. Now while doing so, I was able to successfully do 50 of those counters, unlocking this trophy. So I do want you all to keep in mind that I have been going for all the collectibles, like lore collectibles, and the upgrades in this chapter, and I planned on trying to get everything done in one singular chapter as far as the collectibles go. But now we're just going to go ahead and finish off chapter 1.
My own father.
Now we've reached chapter 2 where we see our main character Hiroki is older now, and he's currently on a mission. So through this chapter, we still are collecting everything we can while going through it. I didn't manage to get any miscellaneous trophies throughout this chapter, so we just reach and complete the end of chapter 2.
I need a medic! They will be next. Why struggle? You cannot save them now.
They are safe enough, or you will die here.
So throughout the game, they actually have these environmental traps that you can use against enemies instead of taking the heads-on approach. So using these traps count your enemy kills as no weapon kills. So taking out 10 enemies like that can award you this trophy.
Stop wasting time.
And then doing 50 of those dope looking finishers actually awards you with this trophy. And with those 2 trophies done, I reached the end of chapter 3 and come across the guy we have fought as a young boy, but this time he was more deadly. Also, a note, there is another trophy to get in this section, but we'll get more to that later. But for now...
How can this be?
I take it we have met.
I gave you your scar. Then I saw you die.
As soon as you...
I follow this up with 2 more story chapters I completed. And then we get to chapter 6. Now here's an important moment in my playthrough. I actually read a guide on PSN Profiles that showed me how to get the 3 different ending-based trophies in the easiest way possible. Now right before facing the chapter 6 boss, I made a manual save so that after completing the game, I could get right back to the same point by reloading that save. Now here I go ahead and defeat the chapter 6 boss for the trophy. And now I'm met with a decision, and each decision will impact the ending in a different way. So in order to get the 3 different ending trophies, I started my way from the top decision to the bottom decision. With the path of love chosen, it was time to continue on to the last chapter of the playthrough, chapter 7. And in this chapter, I was able to also knock out a couple more trophies for defeating 3 enemies with 1 bullet, and also getting all the lore collectibles. Now wait 1 second, you remember when I told you that I had to do 3 separate playthroughs because of a reason I didn't name? Well, that's because I should have been able to get all the upgrades as well, because from this point I thought I grabbed every collectible and upgrade I could get up until the end, but apparently I missed a couple upgrades, dude. Well, anyways, let's move forward to take on the final boss and end my first playthrough.
Nice.
With the first playthrough done and being awarded 3 separate trophies for ending it, it was now time to reload that manual save to put me right back before the chapter 6 boss again, so I can choose the next option and then complete chapter 7 again for the next ending trophy. Once again, for the final different ending trophy, reload, choose new, redo, reward.
Wait. Please. Only fools cling to the past.
Now it was time for me to do what I did not want to do, and that's a whole nother playthrough just to collect the upgrades. So this time I did all 7 chapters again, but on the easiest difficulty to try to speed run through it. And since I had to do this whole playthrough, there were 2 more trophies that I also took care of during this, one being to complete a full chapter without dying or using a shrine.
If Morimitsu and the others yet live.
The next was the chapter 3 boss thing that we had to get back to, but now this time instead of getting killed by this boss, I had to actually defeat him. So what I did is I made a manual save before the fight in case he did manage to defeat me, which, spoiler alert, he did, but eventually, a couple reloads later, I did defeat him. After earning that trophy, it was time to do the last reload of a manual save that was necessary for this game so that I can spawn back before the chapter 3 boss again, but this time let him defeat me so that I can continue on and finish locating all the upgrades in the chapters after this one. I followed the guide extremely closely this time so that I can locate them all, and I was able to do so. Okay, so I got a confession. I forgot that I did actually need to reload a whole 1 more time to the same point before the chapter 3 boss, because after looking at the trophy list, I saw that I actually had to beat that boss without being hit. So instead of, going through the last playthrough and then having to make another manual save, I just decided to go back to the manual save I already had. and therefore I could go ahead and beat him then. So here's me beating the 3rd chapter boss with no hit. And the strategy I used was to counter and then perform 2 heavy attacks, and then, you know, until my stamina went down. Now, once my stamina went down, I would counter but go behind them, and then just kept doing that until my stamina gained. And then once I was able to do that, eventually, like I said, I get the trophy.
Bandit.
Now for the 3rd and final playthrough, and this time I have to do it on Kensai difficulty. Now this difficulty isn't unlocked until first completing a playthrough on another difficulty, and it changes things to have you only take 1 hit to die. It doesn't matter if it's a basic enemy or a boss, it's 1 hit and you die. There are no health upgrades in this, and this was the last difficulty to get through. It was actually easier than you think because basic enemies die also in 1 hit. And so it makes them easy to deal with. And also, since you can't take any hits anyways, this was actually the best time to go for the no-hit boss trophies. So this next section is just about the bosses until the end, and that's starting with the Chapter 2 boss no-hit trophy. And it was no cakewalk, especially no-hitting the bosses, but I'm not about to overwhelm y'all with how many deaths it took, because sometimes it took a lot, sometimes not as many, but I'll throw in a death here and there, you know, but here we go.
Worthless driver!
Next boss to do the no-hit trophy for was the Chapter 4 boss, the Aoki Demon, and defeating her was more about dodge rolling and then attacking. I also applied the same tactic I used for the Aoki Demon on the Chapter 5 boss and got this trophy. Then it was time to face the Chapter 6 boss, which was the Mirror Demon, which was Hiroki himself. Also goes to show, sometimes the one holding you back the most is yourself.
It is a
Words
mindset.
of wisdom.
It is always a mindset.
And now it was time to deal with that final Chapter 7 boss one last time to complete the no-hit for bosses and the Kensai difficulty playthrough to get that dope platinum trophy.
Still fight like a child.
Echo calls me back to Yomi.
And there we have it, the Trek to Yomi Platinum, a trek to remember. I enjoyed the time that I had getting this Platinum, except for some minor setbacks during my journey to obtaining it. I hope you enjoyed watching, and if so, do subscribe for more content on the way. And me, I play many different forms of games and genres, so here you'll see a lot of different types of games being platinumed. And if you have any suggestions on games you want to see me platinum in the future, drop them down in the comments. And if I pick your game from your suggestion, I'll shout you out in the video that I make. If you want to see a video I did trying to add a fresh twist to the platinum hunting genre, check out this video I did on my first ever platinum I got, Astro's Playroom. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Yada nami.
Brings reward. I shall meet you.